Hey, everybody, welcome to the Youth Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
There we
And
go.
I'm Devon.
And now that we got our sound issues figured out, today we're talking about the 2015 film Trainwreck, starring Amy Shumer and Bill Hader. It's a weird pick for us, but it'll make sense by the end of the show, I promise, because there is a reason where you're talking about Trainwreck. But before we get into that, have you guys watched anything new recently?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of new things.
Devin, what have you seen?
So I've seen, the one I wanted to talk about with you guys is I've seen Jungle Cruise with Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Boy,
Okay.
Rock the Dwayne Johnson. I really liked this movie. I don't know what you guys thought this movie was going to be. I don't know what I thought this movie was going to be. I really like it. It gave me like Indiana Jones vibes for some reason.
I have heard this film is a mix between Indiana Jones and the Pirates of the Caribbean films.
That's exactly how I would describe it. It's got elements of Pirates of the Caribbean to the point where I'm like, oh, they took the thing and they made it in the jungle. Got it. But then also like you can't have a character like Emily Blunt's character and not be like, oh, that's just Indiana Jones, but she's female now. And I like that. And I like her character so much. And I like that it's well written. Yeah, I love the movie, guys. I think you should see it. I might make you watch it.
Okay, so I almost bought this on Disney Plus this weekend when I had my niece. But I held off. I do want to see this.
Mm-hmm.
I might take her to the theater and see it because I don't know if is it worth the $30 to get it on Disney Plus?
If you could watch it in theater, I would watch it in theater. It's definitely got an element of spectacle to it.
Okay.
It's definitely, if we're talking about like just pacing of the movie itself, it is breakneck. Like by the time you get to the end of the movie, it's a 2-hour run. By the time you get to the end of the movie, you're like, so much happened. Why did so much happen in the movie called Jungle Cruise?
Yeah. So in the chat, Devin, I'll leave this question to you. There seems to be so many movies based on Disney rides. Do you think there are too many? Is there any rides that you want to see created into a movie that they haven't yet?
Man, I think they could build a good movie around the Tower of Terror. I understand that it's Twilight Zone, but there's a lot there to work with plot-wise.
Already exists.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Where?
It was a made-for-TV movie in the late 90s starring Kirsten Dunst and Steve Guttenberg.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, is it on Disney Plus? It has to be on Disney Plus. Right?
I hope so. Let me look.
Well, shoot, this might be something that I watch then. That's exciting.
I
didn't know that.
Disney Plus. Yeah. My next question was, can you name the other haunted or the other Disney park ride movies?
Yeah, so there's Pirates of the Caribbean, there's Jungle Cruise, there's Haunted Mansion. They're doing another Haunted Mansion because they realized they messed it up the first time.
They're doing two more, actually.
Are we doing 2 more? Ew.
Yeah, they're doing a Muppets version.
No, they're not.
Yeah, it's coming out this Halloween.
That's the only version that I want. That's the only version I want.
I love it. Now, look, if we're talking just about the plot of the Haunted Mansion, it is a really cool plot. If you're going to go for like something like Phantom Manor, which is the one in Paris, that's a genuinely cool plot. Like, the ride itself is cool and compelling, and the animatronics are cool, and the scenes are cool that would translate well to movies in a way that I don't know if Eddie Murphy ever could have done. But I don't know. I think that would be really cool, and I wonder if they're going to crib from some of those better plots in their rides.
So can you name the other movie rides?
Oh, Tomorrowland.
That's a land, but yeah, I'll give you that.
It's adjacent. Yeah.
There's one more. There's one more that you haven't mentioned yet.
Is it Country Bear Jamboree?
It's Country Bears. Yep.
Did you ever see that movie?
I feel like I've seen pieces of it. I remember going to Country Bear Jamboree when I went to Disney, though. So
I don't know if I want to watch a movie that. It was fine. I don't think let's build a movie out of these bears, though. Ew.
Starring Haley Joel Osment.
No way.
They, in the chat, they should make a movie based on Space or Splash Mountain. Like, why isn't that a movie? Like, I would love to see the movie themed on Splash Mountain.
Ooh. They did. Yeah. They did. They did. Yeah. They did. Striptease.
Striptease.
If you know what I'm referencing, for anybody watching, I applaud you. If you know what I'm referencing.
So I watched a thing.
What did you watch?
I watched an independent film. I wrote a review for the movie The Exchange, which was written by Tim Cook, who is a writer on The Simpsons. He wrote such episodes as New Kids on the Block and this past season's Morrissey episode that got some attention. It's about a kid in the 1980s who signs up for a French exchange student, and it expects somebody to come over who loves French cinema as much as he does, but instead he gets this handsome, oversexed French teenager instead that everyone falls in love with except for him. It's a very fun film. Justin Hartley from This Is Us and Smallville is in it as like the school's coach and gym teacher. He is very eccentric. He pretty much every time he's on screen, he is like chewing the scenery. And I had to explain that to my editor over at Victims about what chewing the scenery was, because he'd never heard that expression before. But he does it. He has a really weird fake mustache. He kind of reminds me of the uncle from Napoleon Dynamite, but a little bit more punchable in the face. But I highly recommend this film. It's available on digital and on demand. If you want, you can go check out my full review over on Victims and Villains. On their website, you can find it there. I just put the link in the Twitch chat. I have my full review up over there, but it's definitely a film worth checking out if you get the chance, especially if you like The Simpsons. And it gave me I had a little bit of Schitt's Creek vibes too from it. I don't know if it's just because it was a small Canadian town or not, but
was it that kind of like pacing and humor though? Because I like that from Schitt's Creek a lot.
With the townspeople, yes, like everyone had their own character and was very different. Like every person in the town had their own personality, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Ryan,
it sounds like a fun movie though.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Ryan, how about you? Have you watched anything recently?
Yeah, I finally got around to watching the Harley Quinn show, which I am very delighted that I actually did. I was not expecting to like this show as much as I am.
The Harley,
wonderful.
Yeah.
This show is probably the best thing to come out of DC Universe.
It is,
and I say that loving Doom Patrol as much as I love Doom Patrol. But Harley Quinn just knocks it out of the park. The casting is fantastic. I'm convinced that you could have Alan Tudyk in every role in this show, and it would be great. Because not only is he Clayface, he's the Joker. I'm pretty sure he plays some other people in here somewhere. Kaylee Cuoco as Harley is phenomenal. But Ryan, you finally got what made you decide to finally watch it now?
That I have access to the app finally.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Long term. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I've been going on there and I've been watching a lot of like rerun stuff that I've been able to get my hands on. Stuff that I watched in like the 90s. And then I was like, from what you told me out about the show, it sounded different enough than the other DC stuff. I'm like, I might actually like this. And the first episode hooked me. And since then, it's only gotten better. And it's not just the voice actors in it. It's the animation and how they're expressing the characters, their facial expressions, body language, the little topics that come up in each show for each character. Just everything about it. The fact that the old wheelchair guy turns into a car. I mean, they're doing things in the show that are risks, and because they're taking such big risks in the show, it works and it pays off. And it's great.
And you can tell they're taking risks because, like, the reason this show's in the news or was in the news recently is because they wanted to have Batman do a thing that I can't talk about on Twitch. But the DC execs were like, no, we can't have heroes do that. So they're pushing the envelope even to the point where the DC execs are like, no. Like, so they're at that line now. Like, there is a line and they found it. And they can do anything on the other side of it. But, yeah, Devin, what do you like about this show?
I mean, I love it. Honestly, for me, it's the writing. I think the writing in this show is so brilliant. It does such a good job of making characters that only have roughly 30 seconds of screen time per episode be just as memorable as whatever Harley Quinn is doing that show. One of my favorite running gags of this is Clayface, where he's just like trying to sell his acting ability. Like, come on, that's what you do with Clayface. Like, yes, thank you.
My favorite moment of the show is... Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Personally, my favorite side character is with Dr. Strange? No, not Dr. Strange. Mr. Strange? The short one.
Dr.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Psycho, him.
Yeah.
To be honest, he's my favorite side character, and isn't the whole thing, because they're constantly badgering him, but then every now and then he hits a home run on his storyline and he like saves the day, but then they go right back to badgering him again, and he's like, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah, I think my favorite side character in this show is Bane, because every time Bane shows up, I'm like, yeah, they're gonna make a joke. Like the first time they showed Bane, he's like, I want to blow up Gotham Stadium, and I was like, I was in Gotham Stadium when he blew it up. Yeah. So they have like
I've been sending you his quotes.
I didn't know what they were. I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't know what you were sending me.
From the show. Those were quotes from the show, and you didn't react to them, and I'm like, it's been throwing me off all week.
So you sent me these. When did you send them? I was with my niece, and I'm getting these quotes about Bane. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'll message it in later, and I completely forgot until just now. So I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
If you watch the original Batman series, Harley Quinn looked just like a court jester. Yes, she did.
They updated her to look more like her Suicide Squad in this one, and I think that's the version of Harley Quinn I like the most, where she's not just Joker's sidekick; she's her own independent character.
Yeah, that's what I like about the Harley Quinn character nowadays. Is they've established they've acknowledged the fact that the relationship she has with the Joker is not the best, and they've had the character grow outside of that relationship to establish her own friendships with her gang in this, and Poison Ivy and her relationship. And that's something I think we're going to talk a lot about next week when we review the Suicide Squad.
Good.
But before we get into Trainwreck, we have one more thing that is kind of a hot topic on the internet right now that we want to talk about. Ryan and I have both watched all 5 episodes, but Devin has only seen the first one. So we're going to try to stay as spoiler-free as we can. But we're going to be talking about Masters of the Universe Revelation. So I have no connection to He-Man and Masters of the Universe at all. But I watched this. I enjoyed it. Ryan, what's your history with He-Man?
I faintly remember watching episodes, reruns when I was a kid. Like, that's basically it. Like, I remember seeing conversations between He-Man and Skeletor, and you know, like having my dad make fun of the character of Skeletor a few times. I remember getting a Skeletor mask for Halloween one year. That's literally all I remember from the original show.
Okay. Devin, what's your connection to He-Man?
So I know that it's one of those. I know that it was one of those TV shows in the 80s that was really just a vehicle to sell toys. Like, it was basically just a half an hour long ad, in a lot of the same way that Transformers was. For that reason, I never liked it. I never felt the need to watch He-Man at all, and I never thought that the premise was cool. I have seen clips of something that involved these characters. I don't know if it was the show. I don't know if it was somebody dubbing over the show, so they say funny things now. I don't know how absurd the show got in its heyday, and I will never know because I'm not going to watch the originals.
I think the most exposure I had to this was probably Robot Chicken sketches.
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure I saw one with like Orko, and I'm like, I don't understand what is going on here, but okay. So I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but the internet is not happy with the direction the show takes.
I'm mad at the internet.
I wouldn't say the internet as a whole. I would say
a portion of the internet.
On the internet.
Portion of the internet.
Idiots on the internet.
So hold on, wait. I've seen one episode of this show. I left it literally saying, that's how you do a Masters of the Universe reboot. That's how you do it for me.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care about the original characters, but I got an introduction to them. I know what they're all about. I know what the universe is all about. I feel like I have a firm grasp of the world and its stakes, and I know why it's different from the original in almost the same way that I would if I had watched all the old shows.
Yeah, it does a very good job of telling a different story. If you wanted this just to be a commercial for toys again, it's not that, and I don't know why you would want that to begin with. It's very... what they do is very bold. But at the same time, it's kind of like where the show goes is kind of predictable. And I'm really excited to see where I feel like these first 5 episodes were set up for whatever's happening in the next 5. And I am super excited for those next 5 just based on the ending of episode 5.
So wait, episode 5 isn't the end of the season, or is it? And we're going to get a year later.
It's a halfway through the season. So it's doing that thing where Netflix releases half of a season, then they're going to release the next half. So I'm pretty sure the first four episodes are just set up for the whatever's coming next. And I think this is how you get to where the story they wanted to tell. I don't think there's another way to do it except for the way they did it in this. And I like all of the actors in this. I think Mark Hamill as Skeletor is a little like, it sounds too good to be true, but then you get it. It's like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, just give me all the Skeletor. Sarah Jessica Parker does a great job. Sarah Michelle Gellar. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, she's Teela, right?
She's Teela. And then, were there any characters that stood out for you guys? Ryan, you've seen the whole show so far.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I mean, I always found Skeletor to be a funny character, even as a villain. And even in this, like, the aspects of what I remember Skeletor being of like the faint memories I have of the bits of episodes that I saw when I was a kid, lines up with how he was in the original show. Just goofy, ridiculous, stupid, just happens to have superpowers and wants world domination. And I got what I wanted out of that character.
There's a moment in episode 3 that Skeletor has a great line that I don't want to spoil for Devin, but we'll have to talk about it later.
Yeah.
Ryan,
because I'm going to watch this show quick.
Yeah. Ryan, I'll send you that quote later in case you missed it.
Okay.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It makes me kind of want to watch, like, go back and watch like the He-Man movie. But maybe we'll do that. There's a live action movie with Dolph Lundgren as He-Man.
Dolph Lundgren?
No.
Oh, I love it.
You made me watch Mortal Kombat.
I'm here for it. I'll do it.
There is no level of comparison between the complete lack of any type of artistry in that Masters of the Universe movie compared to the Mortal Kombat movie. There is
You're only
no
making me
comparison.
want to see it harder, Ryan.
Okay, we'll do that
That's
one.
fine. I can make you watch as much as you want.
Good.
But yeah, I'm kind of interested in the toys now, and like I'm into He-Man now. Like at least this iteration of it. So, see, my wife is a fan of the movie, so I feel like I'm going to be ending up watching it here soon. So
I'll watch it, 100%.
But
I love that it's Dolph
It's a good
Lundgren. Good casting.
and then
It
Skeletor
is.
is played by Frank Langella.
Who's that?
He was Perry White in the Brandon Routh Superman. He was Nixon and Frost Nixon.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Do they make him look like Skeletor, or is it like that thing they do in movies where he's like a business executive with a face tattoo?
I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I just know who's
Okay.
in it. Yeah. Ryan's getting some support from friend of the show Andrew about
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe movie.
Yeah.
God, I love
So,
me some bad movies.
It's
though.
a
I
good
can't wait.
laugh. It's a good laugh. It's a good, funny, bad movie. It's got great, horribly done costuming.
Nah.
And it's your typical, 1980s, let's make a movie out of a successful kids cartoon. 80s style.
Good. I'm here for it.
So, Devin, you'll probably love every aspect
I will.
of it.
I will. I mean, how do you make for real, without a stylized cartoon? How do you make He-Man's getup not look stupid? It's basically like a
Oh, it looks
loincloth.
stupid.
Yeah, it's like a loincloth, and then someone attached a few bits of aluminum foil to his chest.
And not just that, but you've also got the bowl cut.
Oh!
The blonde bowl cut.
I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to talk about before we get into today's main topic?
No, I want to dive in. I want to talk about
Okay.
this movie.
All right. So if you're joining us, today's main topic is the 2015 film Trainwreck, starring Amy Shumer, Bill Hader, Brie Larson, and Colin Quinn. This film is directed by Judd Apatow and written by Amy Shumer. It tells us the film is about Amy's character having thought that monogamy was never possible. A commitment-phobic career woman may have to face her fears when she meets a good guy. So this is a romantic comedy. I saw this in theaters back when it came out. And I really enjoyed it then. I have since watched it several times on Blu-ray because it's just one of our go-to comedies. I had you guys watch the unrated version, and then I messed up and watched the rated R version and had to go through and watch all the changes. But Ryan, I know you've seen this film before. What's your history with Trainwreck?
I saw it once. Kristen and I were very interested in it because it was when Amy Schumer was, getting big, and there were parts of it that there are parts of it that I appreciate and that I like and that I find hysterical. But I haven't had the want to ever watch it again until we did it for the show.
Okay.
That's my feeling on the film.
Yeah, it's been a few years since I've watched it. This is one of my wife's go-to movies, so she'll watch it more often than I will. Because one of her other go-to movies is Independence Day, but I yell at her because she's only allowed to watch that one day a year. She can watch Trainwreck whenever she wants. And I know she's watching right now, so hi.
Alan has spoken.
Yes. Devin, what's your history with Trainwreck and Amy Schumer? Have you seen this?
I knew the film existed, right? I didn't know everything about it. I think I knew that I kind of got the general sense of Amy Schumer before, because she did that show on Comedy Central called Inside Amy Schumer. And
yeah.
when this movie came out, I don't know what happened to me, right? When did this come out? 2015. 15? Okay. I don't know what happened to me. I ceased being a 25-year-old man when this movie came out, and I turned into a 90-year-old woman. And my reaction to this movie was, I don't want to listen to that lady talk about a vagina for 2 hours. And just did not watch the movie based on that. Like, that was literally it. And I don't know why I thought that, but that was my reaction to it. So then, like, anytime this movie came up, I was like, I have no interest in that. And would just, like, switch to this 90s woman persona or 90-year-old persona. Yeah, that was my history with this movie.
To be fair, I think she only talks about that body part specifically for like 30 seconds.
Fair. If we're talking about just that one, fair.
Yeah. And she goes in depth, literally. So there's a lot I want to talk about with this movie, but the reason we were watching this, because this was the first time I was introduced to John Cena, the actor, who has a part in here as her boyfriend at the beginning of the film, who she is cheating on a lot and sleeping with other guys behind his back. What did you guys think of John Cena in this?
It's a part that I saw. This is, to me, John Cena's character in this goes into the category of, oh, look, here's a big bustly guy playing the dork.
Yeah.
Because I mean, really, they really don't play out his character any more than that. So, like, it's funny. There are parts of it that are hysterical that he does, mostly physical humor.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, I remember seeing commercials for him for, like, stuff where he's a super soldier or, like, a Marine and stuff like that. And then I saw that he was going to be in, like, this comedy. I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting. And then I saw what they did with him, and I'm like, kind of disappointed.
I had the opposite. I loved him in this.
Yeah.
I know chat's saying that Cena as an actor is not great. He has some of my favorite, like, I think my favorite bit is the movie theater bit, where he's, like, trying to be all tough and hard and insult this guy, and, like, I think he wants you.
Yeah, he ends up, like, hitting on the guy. Now, like, John Cena as an actor, I can't really speak outside of the comedic roles that I've seen, because I've seen him in this, and I've seen him in Sisters. John Cena as a comedic actor stole me, like won my heart in this movie. Like, as soon as I saw this movie, I was like, he needs to be in, like, a Marvel movie or something. And now he's going to be in the Suicide Squad as Peacemaker. Yeah. And I can't wait to see this film. I think it says a lot that they already filmed his HBO Max show based on his character going into this movie. I think he does comedy very well. He's very good at, like, delivery. His joke delivery is good, but he doesn't do the Fallon thing where he breaks easily. Like, his delivery is spot on for what it needs to be, and that movie theater scene is the perfect example. Like, I cannot wait to see more comedic John Cena.
Well, I mean, and to Ryan's point, I liked his whole, like, I liked his physicality in this part too. Like, the scene when they're in bed together, him just spasming at the end, I laughed out loud at that, because that's really funny. Like, he does a great freaking job of it.
And he's not the only, I want to say athlete. Is wrestling a sport? Does that count? Like,
yes. They are athletes.
Okay.
They are athletes.
Okay.
Wrestling may not be a sport in itself, but they are athletes.
All right. He's not the only athlete who acts in this. The other reason I want to talk about this is this was LeBron James's big screen debut as well, who is now on HBO Max and in Cineplexes as LeBron James in Space Jam: A New Legacy. What did you guys think of LeBron James in this?
I liked him better than Space Jam. I love this part for him. I see it. Like, seeing this, I go, oh yeah, he needs to lead a movie. He's fantastic.
Yeah. The way that you guys feel about John Cena in this movie is the way that I feel about LeBron James in this movie. Everything from, and honestly, it's the majority of my favorite parts involve him, especially with the ticket validation, him having the meal with Aaron, going over, what to say on the phone call, and then him leaving his wallet in his, pants, and then that whole thing. Like, just the back and forth that he was able to do, completely deadpan, playing not really himself, but playing himself. I'm surprised he hasn't been in more since this, because it's been 6 years, 7 years.
In the chat, John Cena is the most subtle actor of our time. I can never find him in his movies. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks.
If he didn't make the punchline, I was going to. Yeah, LeBron James in this. Having watched Space Jam, I want to know what happened between this and Space Jam, because he's so charismatic in this, but in Space Jam, it's so dry, like and like disappointing. Like this made me want to see a Space Jam with him in it, and then in the Space Jam that we got, he's like, "No, you have to play basketball." Like he's so stern with his son. It takes away all of the fun that like Michael Jordan was even having in the first Space Jam. And you get a little bit of that towards the end of the movie, but it's not enough to save it, or at least save his performance.
I think that comes down to the writing.
It does. It really does. Which is a good segue. This was Amy Schumer's first screenplay.
Oh, wow.
And it's based on her life. Her dad did suffer from MS. I'm not sure if he has passed away since or not, but so it's based on her true life. Like she did have a father who had MS and was struggling with it. At the time of the film, he hadn't passed away yet. I don't know if he has since, but it does the thing that Judd Apatow projects have done recently, where he takes a comedian and explores their life through their lens. So Amy Schumer sits down and writes a screenplay about her life.
He did Kumail, right?
He produced, I think he produced Kumail's.
Yeah.
He produced and directed Crashing with Pete Holmes. I was blanking on Pete Holmes' name. And then Pete Davidson's King of Staten Island, based on his true life. They cut out a little bit about his dad dying in 9/11, but it's still based on the same idea. Like it's these autobiographical comedian stories that he's been doing since Trainwreck. Have you guys seen any of those and enjoyed them? Or is Trainwreck?
I love Crashing. No, I think Crashing's just wonderful. Okay. I love everything about it.
Ryan, have you seen any of these?
Have you seen any of them, Alan?
I have. I haven't seen King of Staten Island, but I've seen The Big Sick, and I've seen. You know, I'm trying to remember if Judd Apatow was involved in The Big Sick, because I know he didn't direct it.
I like The Big Sick a lot. I know that's why I brought it up, because it felt like exactly this vein. It was a comedian telling a story about his life.
He was a producer on it.
Yeah, it felt very Apatow, like in general.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
I liked Crashing a lot. I'm disappointed it didn't get a third season.
Is it just done now?
Yeah. Yeah, they canceled it before. They canceled it before COVID. They canceled it before HBO Max, and they made the shift to all of the HBO Max shows. So, yeah, you can thank the new Looney Tunes for Crashing being canceled.
Thanks, Bugs.
Yeah, we just made it weird.
No, so you bring up a good point about this movie that I liked, was all of the people in this movie that I didn't know were in this movie. Like you warned me about her boss. I can't remember her name. Her last name's Swinton.
Tilda Swinton.
You warned me about Tilda Swinton. Nobody warned me about Mike Birbiglia. I love Mike Birbiglia in this movie. And it just every other scene, like someone like Pete Davidson was in it for 3 seconds. Like I loved all of these people popping up, and they had such fun parts.
Randall Park's in there. Councilman Jam from Parks and Recreation. I don't know his real name.
It.
Vanessa Bayer. Yeah, I did forget about Mike Birbiglia. Once I saw him on the screen, I was like, "Oh yeah, Mike Birbiglia, Sleepwalk with Me."
Yeah.
Devin, have you seen Sleepwalk with Me?
I have. I have,
Okay.
and I've read the book. I
Okay.
am one of the biggest Birbiglia fans in the world.
I'm trying to think who else is in here.
I mean, Brie Larson. I know we didn't bring her up, but she's really obviously in this movie.
Ezra Miller is in here.
Ezra Miller. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Ryan, was there anyone in here that you saw and like, oh yeah, I know that who they are now?
As in, like
somebody
from when
who
I watched it before to now.
Yeah, like somebody who like, oh yeah, I know them from that other thing.
I didn't realize Brie was in it the first time I saw it.
Okay.
Because I didn't know who she was. And then, now going back, I was like, oh, cool. That's her. She's in it. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, like, I noticed her. Everybody else, though, it just,
Okay.
So, Alan, I have to ask the question. All right.
Yes.
I like you, watched the theatrical version for maybe 20 minutes. Went, oh no! And then watched the unrated version. And then did the whole, okay, what's the difference? What did I miss? And rewatched the little bits that I missed. Why did you pick us to watch the unrated version? I have my thoughts and what I think it was, but why did you have us watch the unrated version as opposed to the theatrical version?
So, this is kind of my bad. I always like the uncut versions because they most of the time it lands a little bit more. There's some story beats that make a little bit more sense. My mistake here was there are about an hour or in change of deleted scenes for this movie on the Blu-ray.
Oh, wow.
And I was thinking that a lot of those were in the extended cut, and they were not. My wife has been bugging me to go through and edit together a supercut of this movie because there are deleted scenes that make the story make more sense. There's a deleted scene where Bill Hader says, I need you to be in the audience for this speech because I'm going to be talking to you. And then when he gets upset when she's not there, it makes a little bit more sense. It still kind of makes sense in the version that we see, but you have more context for that.
And I feel like it makes the stakes mean more during it. Like, she left and it looked like he was disappointed. I'm like, yeah, but she's on a work call. I get it. Like, I am with you, Amy Shumer.
Yeah.
And then he starts overreacting and it feels like he's overreacting. It doesn't feel like she did anything wrong there.
Yeah.
And you're right. It recontextualizes that scene. I'm excited to see that line.
Yeah. So that's partly why I had you watch the unrated cut. What did you think it was?
I thought it was for the extended Matthew Broderick scene.
I'm glad that we got the extended Matthew Broderick scene.
My favorite line is, we all can't, what was it? We all can't star in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and marry someone from Sex and the City. I did.
Yeah. There were 3 other women. One of them.
Oh my gosh.
One of them's gay. She wasn't always Matthew.
Perfect.
Like that whole scene. Like I don't know the sports people in that scene. But I get that you have a commentator. I don't know who the woman is, but Matthew Broderick just steals that scene.
Oh, absolutely. Ryan, who is the woman in that scene, and who could you contextualize the commentator?
It's all basketball.
Oh, is it?
It's all basketball.
Got it.
I
had a
know
feeling.
Star players.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing where like, you've got LeBron James and you've got all of that, but then you've got like the other players that come in throughout the movie, especially with a few of the surgeries. But other than that, when it comes to like the anchors and like either like on court reporters and stuff like that. Plus, I haven't actually had cable to watch a live basketball game in like 10 years.
Fair.
So the one person we haven't really talked about in this yet is Bill Hader. Oh. Ryan, when you think of Bill Hader, what is your go-to project? Like what pops in your head immediately?
Honestly, as of right now, it.
Okay.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Devin, how about
Yeah,
you?
because I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm starting to realize that there's kind of a delay between us.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, yeah, no, it's just because that's the most recent. That's what I've seen him in, like, the most at the moment. My mind always goes to that, especially the scene where they see the little dog and it turns into the monster. I see that image in my head of that scene happening, but I know he's done other stuff that I've really enjoyed, and I like his work in this movie.
Yeah.
Devin, how about you? Same question.
Barry, hands down Barry. I have never seen a show switch from dramatic tension to Quentin Tarantino violence to literal slapstick comedy so seamlessly and so well as Barry did. And I hope it didn't get canceled. I don't know if it did. And if it did, I'm going to be really upset because the way it ends so far, I need to see more.
Okay, so no, it was not canceled. They had like their first table reading the day everything shut down for COVID. So they went on hold for production. I think they just started up production on season 3, and they're shooting season 4 back to back. So,
cool.
So we're getting 2 more seasons. They're being shot back to back. So, for me, I knew him on SNL.
Yeah.
I think the first thing that I can remember seeing him in, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's awesome, is he was in a sketch with Seth MacFarlane doing the puppet class. And he just has like the puppet version of himself. He's dressed like a vet from like Vietnam, and he's got the puppet. He's like just talking about like the horrific stuff he saw in Grenada. And like Seth MacFarlane's like being all happy, cheery. I was like, this guy's really good. And then I got to like into like a lot of his SNL sketches with Stefan, and the Vincent Price Halloween specials are fantastic. He does some weird impressions. If you ever watch him on Conan, like on Conan's last week of shows, he had Bill Hader just come on and do all of his impressions. And Bill Hader was like, well, you want me to just dance for you like I'm a monkey? Like, but yeah, the chat knows which sketch I'm talking about. They also mentioned his Judd Hirsch impression. There's a cut for scene sketch with Zach Galifianakis and Bill Hader like as 70s detectives called Knish. It's really weird. I'll have to send it to you. But he does a Judd Hirsch impression, the dad from Independence Day.
Yeah.
And like the whole thing is done by Judd Hirsch's production company. And like the tag, like, you know how they do the titles for the production companies?
Yeah.
They do one where it's just him eating, like opening a bag from a deli. He's like, "What you got there, Judd?" He's like, "Bupkis." Like,
oh.
But yeah, his impressions are fantastic. I really like him as a leading man in this because it's a little bit of drama with the relationship stuff, but it's mostly comedy. And he's the straight man in this. Like he's not doing impressions. He's not doing a lot of jokes. He's pretty much just reacting to everything that Amy does or LeBron does. And like, there's some improvised moments, like when he makes the basketball shot, that wasn't in the script. He actually did that. And that was all improvised.
Oh, I love
that's
that.
actually him gloating on LeBron. Like I'm never playing basketball again. Like, I just scored on LeBron.
That makes it seem so much better.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the scenes with LeBron, Chris Rock was present, so he helped come up with some of the lines that they improvised on the spot.
That's cool.
And maybe that's what Space Jam needed, just Chris Rock on the sidelines. You know, everyone else was there.
Yeah.
At least their characters were.
Rewriting it.
But but yeah,
So, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
So, now that we're talking about like that relationship, is it weird that I didn't know that this was a rom-com until about halfway through? I just figured it was like a comedy. I didn't know that like the main deal was the romance there.
Well,
I figured it was going to be more like Anchorman. Like, I would never call Anchorman a rom-com. I would call Anchorman like a workplace comedy with some buddies. I figured that this was going to be, let's watch Amy Schumer drink and joke about herself. By the way, she got Bill Hader to join along.
it is a rom-com, I will give you that, but it doesn't follow the formula that you would get with a regular rom-com. It goes a little, I think Judd Apatow does this a lot with his movie. He goes a little bit more into character than you would in a typical rom-com, like, not to throw Amy Schumer under the bus, but I Feel Pretty. Like, I don't feel like that goes too deep into her character. I feel like that's just, I'm the prettiest, and like,
here's the hook of the movie.
Yeah.
You did it.
That's what I like about Judd Apatow stuff, whether it's Funny People or 40-Year-Old Virgin. You really get into these characters and understand why they are the way they are. And this one, you get a lot of the backstory with her dad and the way he lived his life, and like her dealing with, I don't want to end up like that. I think it. I was curious what you thought of it as a rom-com, because I didn't really sell it to you as a rom-com.
Right.
So
it hit me in waves where I was like the second it started out with the dad being like, monogamy's a lie. Would you only play with one doll forever? I'm like, rom-com? And then I'm like, no, it's just a silly part in the beginning. And then it like, it had the John Cena thing, and I'm like, okay, fine. It's just going to show her hopping around relationships. Just silly Amy Schumer. And then like they had the meet cute, and I was like, oh, this is rom-com, oh no. And it didn't hurt it at all for me, except for one part. I don't know if I've made this clear yet. I love this movie. I had to buy this movie to watch it. I don't regret it for a second. I'm going to be watching it again. I love this movie. The movie almost lost me at one point, and I want to know if you guys felt the same way about it as I did. Because this is a problem in my mind with rom-coms, and the reason that I don't like them, because there's always a moment like this, and it always freaking takes me out of it, because I keep thinking logistics. And that is when Bill Hader is like at basketball game. It's after the surgery that he like completed. He did it well. The guy's back on the court. He's playing well. Good, big moment for them. He and Amy Schumer are broken up. By the way, her character's name is just Amy in this movie. Good for her. He and Amy are broken up. And then she comes in with the cheerleaders, and I don't know how much time has passed, but they've choreographed, practiced, and staged all of this. She has coordinated the lights person. She's coordinated the stunt basketball team. She's gotten every cheerleader on the squad involved in this. Sure, she can't dance like they can, and I'm glad that they included that bit, but they did this big romantic gesture that would have taken days, if not weeks, if not months, and a lot of money and a lot of everyone's time to do, and it took me right out of the movie. It was funny. I get it, but oh my God, did it lose me.
Can I say something to that?
Go for it.
Do it, please do.
The reason why the ending for me doesn't even make me bat an eye at that is because depending on how like important the game is, those shows in between the actual playing time, they can be kind of ridiculous onto that level.
Oh yeah.
So she knows the players. Through the players, she knows the owners. And because of the importance that, Aaron has for pretty much all the basketball players for that team, it's easy for her to just kind of needle her way into it.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that LeBron James is like super invested in Aaron's relationship to begin with. So if it did come down to, the way I look at it is LeBron helped her get it all set up. She maybe did like a few rehearsals with them during the week before that game. And then they just used it as a rehearsal for their show, because that's pretty much just the halftime show.
Right.
So I don't think it was really that
Yeah.
money-wise. I don't think it was that much of a stretch. I think time-wise, it's pushing it a little bit. But Amy Schumer did spend months practicing with the cheerleaders to get to that point.
Wow.
Or
Good
not
for her.
months, but she did spend a good chunk of time.
Okay, let me take one more swing at this to see why I had a problem. So logistically, fine. You guys did a great job of explaining that. I think because Alan mentioned a really good point that this focuses on characters. This is an overarching kind of comedy tropes or rom-com tropes. Some of them happen, right? They have the middle bit where they break up and then they realize that they're happier together. But in general, I love watching Amy's character grow from start to finish in this movie. She has a lot of really good, very personal moments. I love watching Bill Hader grow as a person in this entire thing. Good personal moments. I feel like this was the one thing that could have been a good, strong personal moment that was too showy and over the top. I understand that for Amy Schumer's character, it showed that she tried and put effort into something for once. And I get that, but I don't know that it had to be like, it felt too artificial, I think.
Okay, I think it shows more. It shows that she put effort into it, but there's also that conversation where he says, you know why you don't like cheerleaders is because you're always bringing people down. Cheerleaders are there to bring other people up.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's the reason she chooses this way to show him her affection and try to get him back.
That, and it's also a complete flip from how they first met with her ragging on sports and him calling her out on it.
And then it's her being a part of the thing. Well,
Yeah.
and part of that is I did like though was watching her character's idea of sports kind of change when it became contextualized through like Bill Hader's character. Like it showed that she was open to things and like her change and appreciation for it kind of grew along with her as a character.
And also meeting the actual people that actually play it.
Well, I do think that I think Chat just nailed it too, though. It had to happen for rom-com tropes.
Yeah.
And I think if down at its very core, I think that might just be my problem, is it felt too rom-com tropey. It felt like, hey, I'm a down on his luck guy from Manhattan, and I got all of the New York Yankees to propose to you for me.
I think it does a good job of twisting the trope a little bit, because if it was just a straight rom-com trope, it would have stopped when she goes over and talks to him the first time. But then she's like, oh no, I got to go finish the dance. And he's like, wait, what? And then she comes out with the basketball. It just face plants. Like a rom-com wouldn't do that. Like you wouldn't see Kate Hudson doing that for Matthew McConaughey. Like
normally when people hit a trampoline, they go up. You just went down. I've never seen that before.
No, and the writing in this is really good. I mean, that's the thing, is Amy Schumer is a great writer. At least from what I've seen in this movie. I've seen I Feel Pretty, it was fine. But I think she's great in this, or her writing's great.
Yeah, see, that's where I am, guys. I love I Am Pretty.
I haven't seen it.
I wonder if I were to rewatch it, if I would have more appreciation for it, because A, I've seen more rom-coms between now and then, thanks to you guys. And B, I have since then learned to stop building a movie in my head and then being upset that it wasn't the movie that I built in my head. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it was, is I love the premise of I Feel Pretty. Like, I love the idea of, forget you guys and your, beauty standards. I'm gorgeous. I love that. That's a good message. Send that to everyone, please. And then for some reason, I just since I grasped that message so hard, I just built this whole movie out, and that's my bad. Bad Devon.
To keep it very simple, that's because the movie wasn't just about, the benefits of having good self-esteem and what it can give you. It was also making fun of the fashion industry.
Yeah,
heavily, and that was another part of it too. Just calling out the hypocrisy in it. And so there's two things to the movie I Am Pretty, and I honestly feel like what they do with Amy's character in I Am Pretty is just as character driven as this.
Mm-hmm.
Because they do give you a lot of backstory on her to show you why she's so obsessed with fashion and everything the way she is, and then why everything changes when she has her accident.
So I haven't seen the film. But does that one delve into her relationships as well outside of the romantic ones? Because this film also does a great job of diving into her relationship with her father, with her sister, with the men that she's sleeping with. Because even though that montage at the beginning, you know where she stands in those relationships, and then when John Cena comes along, and then Bill Hader, like.
Yeah. So when it comes to I Am Pretty, it shows the relationship change with her best friends, with her coworkers. I forget if her parents are in it or not, but she also builds friendships after, during the whole process of her doing the whole, like good self-esteem thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it shows how those relationships change at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just a rom-com between her and her love interest. It's also the love interest she has with herself and how that changes her relationships with other people.
Yeah, I do appreciate that.
And
now that
it even goes
about it.
And it even goes to the point of and it even gets into the danger of having too much self-esteem.
Yeah.
What can happen in that realm. And it's just, I don't know, when it comes to this movie compared to I Am Pretty, I like the character that she plays in I Am Pretty more and care about that character more than I care about the character in this film. Well, and that's where I saw this movie originally.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's intentional. I don't think you're supposed to really like Amy as a character in this. You're supposed to grow to like her. You're not supposed to like her from the get-go.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true. But even as it was going forward, my interest and my involvement was with their characters in this and not really with hers. Because, and this gets into my deal with celebrities and with comedians in general. When I was in high school, I had I'm going to call it a Devon moment, where I thought to myself, because I obsessed over band members, I obsessed over certain actors, and I saw an interview with one once where they were complaining about not being able to go to the grocery store like they used to, because they were always getting hounded. And I probably thought way too deeply about that conversation, and I changed my view on celebrities at that point, and unless there were something very specific about the person or about whatever medium I saw them in, I purposely prevented myself from learning, not learning names, but learning stuff about them. Sure. Or really caring about them outside of what their work was. Because I mean, there's the majority of baseball players that they don't wear masks. If I saw one shopping at the Walmart here in town, I probably wouldn't even recognize it. Because I like to watch them play. I like the effort they put in. I don't really care to memorize their faces. And I do the same thing with comedians. So that's, when it comes to any type of movies like this, like The Big Sick and stuff like that, I'm not really interested on comedian life stories, mainly for that reason. I know that sounds weird, but like I said, this is my Devon thing.
Fair.
I feel like you'll enjoy The Big Sick though. Just knowing what I know about you and your history, I think you'd appreciate The Big Sick.
Yeah.
That one's been on my radar because I heard an interview with that actor, with that comedian on NPR years ago, talking about the actual story behind the story for the movie. And him talking about how and all that. And it was a great interview. So it's been on my radar. It's one of those things where it's I'll watch episode 1 of Star Wars before I'll watch that.
Yeah. I think that might be our tie-in for Eternals, because Kumail is in Eternals, and I don't feel like talking about Nomadland on this podcast. So
no, I agree. Thank you.
No, I mean don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Nomadland is a beautiful film. There's nothing I can say about it besides it's beautiful and it's well done. But I can't talk about it for an hour.
If it makes you feel better, I don't even know what it's about. I don't need to know. I don't need to know right now. It's fine.
Is that
I don't know.
Cowboy?
No. It's from the director of the. It came out last year. It came out in 2020.
No Man's Land.
Nomadland.
Nomadland. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought you said Man's Land, and I'm like, what's this
All
big
right.
deal about a cowboy
All right.
crossing a river?
Any final thoughts on Trainwreck?
It delightfully surprised me. I really like this movie. I own the unrated version. I really can't wait to watch it again because I feel like I missed a bunch because the writing's so sharp and it's so fast, and like I can't wait to watch it again.
When you go back and watch it again, check out. You probably have the deleted scenes. Just go in and look at how many there are. There are 2 pages of deleted scenes on the Blu-ray.
Wow.
Yeah, there's that many.
Hold on, did we miss a cameo in the deleted scenes?
Yes.
Who?
Ryan Phillippe.
Who's that?
He used to be married to Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
Yeah. He was in Cruel Intentions.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
I think Romana told me about that one. I think she saw that extent deleted scene because I remember having this conversation.
Yeah. Ryan, any final thoughts?
My overall view of the movie hasn't really changed since the first time I saw it. But I did enjoy re-seeing the scenes that I liked again.
Yeah.
Mainly with Bill Hader and LeBron James.
Okay. Yeah, there are also some extended scenes in the Blu-ray there too. So
good.
They might not all be deleted, but there's a lot of cut stuff from this. So, all right. Well, that does it for Trainwreck this week. Next week was supposed to be Devon's pick, but we overrode him. And next week we will be talking about James Gunn's DC film debut, The Suicide Squad. Starring John Cena, Nathan Fillion, Idris Elba, Margot Robbie, Sylvester Stallone, Pete Davidson, Viola Davis, Joel Kinnaman, Jai Courtney, Peter Capaldi.
I'm so impressed you got this many.
That's about all I can get. Yeah, so we'll be talking about that next week. I'm excited because I think this is going to be my return to theaters.
That'll be cool.
I might go Thursday. I'm not sure yet. I'm still kind of waiting out this Delta variant to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I'll watch it at home, but I'm hoping to make it to the theaters. So stay tuned for that next week. In the meantime, if you're watching us on Twitch, go ahead and hit that follow button. We really want to make it to 50 followers here soon.
Yeah.
Devon will be streaming again on Friday, working on getting his Rick Sanchez skin for Fortnite.
Guys, I'm so close.
You're very close, but then you got to get the slime skin, and then Superman, which will tie into the DC stuff. So go ahead and hit that follow button. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch all of our older episodes that Twitch doesn't keep. You can also listen to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. We're on all major podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google, Amazon Music. Anywhere you get your podcast, you can find us. You can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Until next time, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And I don't have a line for this one. Check!
We'll probably be doing.
Check! I forgot to say, that's something I threaten my wife with every time we go out to eat. Like, if we don't get the check right away. Like, should I do it? Should I do the check?
I really like that. That was a good scene.
Yeah.
My grandfather used to do that.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Yeah. He was a bastard.